Okay, I think we can start.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so what we completed in the previous session, I think we talked about try, cache, multiple cache. We discussed about multiple caches, right? So one cache can have, one try can have multiple cache block, but you need to follow the sequence. If multiple caches, if any one of the cache is having exception, then you have to go for putting that exception cache in the last. Why? Because it can handle any type of exception. If you're putting it as a first cache, the remaining caches are not needed because any type of exception can be handled by cache block, right? Sorry, exception class. So today we will talk about the finally. Okay. So finally, we did not start right yesterday. Okay. So catch block will execute only if there is an exception. If there is no exception, catch block will not be executed. Catch block will execute only if there is a exception. If there is no exception, catch block will not be executed. But finally block will always execute. Finally block will always execute whether you have an exception or whether you do not have a exception. Finally block will be always executed. Mostly interview ask question, difference between catch and finally. Make a note. Difference between catch and finally. What is the difference between catch and finally? Okay. Catch block will execute. Catch block will execute only if there is an exception. Catch block will execute only if there is a exception. If no exception, catch block will not execute. If there is no exception, catch block will not execute. Okay. But finally block will be always executed. Finally block will be always executed. Whether there is an exception, or there is no exception. Okay. Finally block will always execute. Finally block will always execute whether there is an exception or there is no exception. Okay. But catch will execute all that only when you have exception. When you do not have exception, catch block will not execute. But finally block will be always executed. It is mainly used to perform some important tasks such as closing connection, etc. Now, whenever I'm doing an automation, in case most of the time we don't do it. In case if you are doing any connectivity with the database, you are opening a connection with the database. Then whenever you execute all your automation test cases, you need to make sure you need to close the database connectivity, clean up code. Mostly why we use finally block. You can continuation of writing. Finally block is used. Finally block is used to clean up code. You guys can see it here. Clean up code. You have it here. Clean up code such as closing a file, closing connection, etc. Such as closing a file, closing connection, etc. Okay. Now, okay, what is the syntax for finally block? Same thing. So you have a try. Finally block must be associated with the try or catch. You cannot put finally block just only finally. You cannot do that. So first what you have to do, first you have to put try, and then you put a finally. If you don't want to put a catch, that is okay. But if you wanted to put the finally, must be followed with the try block. First you should put try, and then you should go for the finally. You cannot write finally, like we have already have static block, right? We are not doing anything. We're just opening and closing, but finally will not be allowed that way. Finally requires try should be there. Okay. Now let's look at this example. Okay, I don't. Okay, I think I can take up the one. Okay, here, no. Seven 30 PM, right? That's where I executed. Where is this one? Java Basics. Just give me a minute. I already have a program. I'm just searching for that. Where is Java? Okay, just leave it. We will write. Okay, just leave it. We will go to multiple catch we have done, right? So try example. I'll write one program. I'll just copy the same thing what I have here. New. Finally already exists. Okay. Did we discuss this? It is there already in 11 a.m. batch. Your batch only, right? 11 a.m. Okay, fine, no issue. Now, what I'm trying to do here, I'm just trying to do what division by 0. I'm just trying to do division by 0. So this one I need to change it to what type of exception it is throwing? It is throwing arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception. Now what I'm doing, I'm having some exception here. What type of exception? Arithmetic exception. So I'm putting my catch block as arithmetic exception. Then whatever code you wanted to write, you can write the coding here. And then finally, see, finally is a block which will be executed all the time. Finally block will be executed all the time. Whether you have an exception or you do not have any exception, finally block will be always executed. Now there is an exception here. Is there any exception in the try block? You have exception, right? Arithmetic exception. So which cache? It will execute the cache block. It will also execute the finally block. It will execute both. Now try to run it. It is executing arithmetic exception. It is going to this cache block, and then it is also executing the finally block. Now I would not say division by 0. I would say, is there any exception here? There is no exception. Catch block will execute. Catch block will not going to execute because there is no exception. But finally block will always execute. Finally is always executing. Mostly asked question, very simple difference. Catch will execute only if there is exception. Finally, whether you have an exception or you do not have any exception, still your code is going to execute. Okay, that's about the final. Now you also have one more thing called throw. The throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly. The throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly, right? The throw keyword is mainly used to throw custom exception. What do you mean by customize? Customize mean I can do according to my own wish, right? Now, if you go back to the try example, okay, if you go back to the try example, what we are trying to do, we are printing E. What is E? It's a reference variable for arithmetic exception. When you run it, it is throwing an arithmetic exception. Whatever exception is thrown will be stored in a variable called E. So whatever the exception is stored in E, whatever exception is stored in E, I'm trying to print the value of E. Okay. Now what it is going to print? This is what exception is thrown. This is the exception what it is thrown at the runtime. This exception is thrown at the runtime, right? So now I want to customize the exception. Customize the exception one. I don't want this to be displayed. I wanted to put my own message. That is called customization. Customization means the one which you already have, you want to modify it. I don't want to use division by 0. I wanted to use something different, right? So what I have to use here, instead of doing division by 0, anyway, I cannot change this message. I cannot change this one, but I have an option to change this one. I have an option to change this one, division by 0, right? So if you wanted to customize this, this is the one purpose to use the throw. One purpose is to throw is to customize your exception message, to customize your exception message. At the same time, am I throwing any exception here? Am I explicitly throwing any exception here? Who is throwing the exception? JVM. JVM is going to throw an exception. But if you wanted to throw exception separately, explicitly, if you wanted to throw an exception explicitly, then you have to use the throw keyword. If you wanted to throw exception explicitly, anyhow JVM is going to throw. If there is an exception, JVM is going to throw the exception. But if you wanted to throw yourself, no need to exception should occur, JVM should throw. But if you wanted to throw an exception explicitly, separately yourself, then you go for using the throw keyword. Now example, throw. Okay. Now I have a method called validate. I have a method called validate. What method it is? Static method. Now this method is taking one parameter called int age of the voter. Example, if age is less than 18, if age is less than 18, I'm throwing an exception explicitly. What I am using? I am using throw. I am using keyword throw new arithmetic exception. This can be anything. Don't think it should be arithmetic exception. This can be any type of exception, but it should be one of the existing exception type only. Like all exceptions are what? Predefined classes. All exceptions are predefined classes. So now I wanted to call this method. What is my method name? Validate. Validate is what method? Static method. How do you call static method? You can directly call it. You don't even need to call with the class name also. You can directly call it. So I'm not creating any object, right? So if you don't create any object, you just call it using the method name itself. It's up to you. You can call throw dot, you can say throw dot validate class name dot method name, or you can directly call the method itself, right? Now we are saying validate. What is the parameter I'm providing? 16. So where it will go? It will go to the validate method. It will go to the validate method. What will be the age now? What is the age? 16, right? 16 less than 18. Condition is true. Then it enters inside the if condition. So what I'm saying, throw new. You have to instantiate. Throw new. What type of exception? Arithmetic exception. This can be anything. Don't think it should be arithmetic. It can be any class. Throw new arithmetic exception, not valid. Now what it is displaying here? Division by 0. Now I'm replacing that with what? Not valid. Just try to run it. Instead of printing by 0, it is going to print not valid. See what it is giving? Not valid. So there is no exception in my coding. There is no exception in my coding. I'm explicitly throwing an exception. How to throw? Use your throw keyword, new exception type. What is the exception type I wanted to throw? Arithmetic exception. Okay. Is it clear? Throw is used for two purposes. Purpose one, to throw an exception. This is what I'm trying to show you. To throw an exception. What I'm doing here, I'm throwing an exception. Throw new arithmetic exception. Purpose one. Purpose two is what? To customize your exception. Customize means instead of division by 0, I wanted to change the message. I wanted to change the message as what? Not valid. Make a note. Mostly interview ask question. Difference between throw and throws. Put heading as throw. Put heading as throw. Throw keyword. Throw keyword. Throw keyword is used to throw an exception. Throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly or separately. It's up to you how you wanted to write. Throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly. Okay. Then point number 2. Throw keyword allows to customize. Throw keyword allows to customize the exception. Throw keyword is used to customize the exception. To customize the exception. You understood, right? One purpose is to throw and another purpose is to customize your exception. Customization means you can change whatever you wanted. Now, whenever you go for catering, right? Whenever you have some function, we generally go for catering. They will give you, this is the menu. This is for veg and this is for non-veg. And you wanted to customize yourself. I don't want this. I wanted to add something newly. That is called customization. You change according to your wish. Now, what I'm trying to change here, I'm changing it as a not valid. This can be anything. Don't think it should be not valid. It can be anything here. Okay. Now, the next one is throws. Throws. Now we have exception. We have inheritance concept, right? We have inheritance concept. What we do in inheritance, we use existing code, reusability of the code. Now let's take an example. I have class ABC. Let's say I have void method 1, some method. Okay, you write some code for method 1, then close the method 1. Then I have class XYZ. This class extends ABC. Now I create an object for XYZ. OBJ equal to new. Now I would say OBJ dot method 1. This is what we learned for inheritance, right? You are creating XYZ class by existing class called ABC, right? XYZ is extending the ABC. It means whatever methods you are having in ABC class will be available to the XYZ class. Now let's understand one tester has written a coding for method 1. One tester has written coding for method 1. So method 1 I am using in my subclass. Let's assume the method 1 is having some exceptions. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? You're extending one class and that class has some method and that method is having exception. That guy has not handled. That guy has not handled. Whoever written a code for method 1, that guy did not handle the exception. In which method? Method 1. Now what I am doing as a subclass, I am using the method 1. I'm calling the method 1, right? So if there is an exception, what will happen? If you're not handling the exception, what will happen? Program will terminate. Whose code is? My code is terminating. I'm calling the function. My code is terminating. Why my code is terminating? Because I'm using someone's code. I'm using someone's code and that code is having some exception. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? But that guy did not handle. So what will happen? You are going to terminate it. I mean, your program is going to be terminated because of someone's code. Are you guys getting? Because of someone's code. Someone has written coding and they have an exception. They did not handle the exception. Then your program will be terminated. Why your program will be terminated? Because you are calling the function. It is going to that code and it will terminate your program. So throw is used to throw an exception explicitly. Throw is used to throw an exception explicitly. Throws is not used to throw. Throws is used to declare the exception. Throw used to throw an exception. Throws to declare the exception. What do you mean by declare the exception? Now I wanted to declare, I would just say throws. One is throw, one is throws. Throws, example, arithmetic exception. I'm not writing complete thing. Understand, it's arithmetic exception. Now, what this guy is saying, this guy is saying my code might have an exception. My code might have an exception, but I'm not handling the exception. So who is suffering? The guy who is calling that function, right? So now this will indicate, in the older version of Java, we were getting an error, compilation error. You cannot call like this because this is clearly declared as it is throwing some exception. Now what I would do, I don't want my program to terminate, right? So since that guy not handled the exception, since that guy not handled the exception, I will call it inside the try block. Why I am calling inside the try block? If I don't handle, what is happening? It is terminating the program. If I'm not handling, what it is doing? It is terminating my program. So what they already declared, saying that it is going to throw exception. What type of exception it is throwing? Now, do you think it will terminate your program? See, what I'm saying is someone has written coding and their code is having some exceptions and they did not handle it. But you are extending that class and you are calling that method. What I did first time, I directly tried to call. My program is doing what? My program is terminating. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to call that method. Which method is terminating my program? Method 1. So whenever I'm calling a method 1, I'm putting method 1 in the try block so that it will go to the method 1 and it is executing the method 1. It will, because you are handling the exception, that guy is also declared type of exception. It is throwing what? Arithmetic exception. So in the catch block, I'm putting what? Arithmetic exception. First difference between throw and throws. Throw is to throw an exception explicitly. Throws doesn't throw exception. Throws declares the exception. Throws declares the exception. Throw is always followed by instantiation. Throw is always followed by instantiation. If you say here, I'm saying throw new. Instantiation means creating an using new. So this is throw always used with the instantiation. Throws doesn't use anything. This is the second difference. Okay. And throw is used inside the method. Throw is used inside the function. Throws is used at the signature of the method. This is the signature of the method, what we call this line. Throw is used inside the method. Where I'm using this throw? Inside the method. Now throws, where I'm using throws? At the method signature level, not at the inside the method. You are calling it at the method signature level. Okay. So I already written the differences. You can see it. Now this is the example. What I'm saying here, method 1 throws arithmetic exception. Now where I'm calling, I'm extending this class 1. I'm extending the class 1. And in this, I'm calling the method 1 by putting the try and catch block. I'm putting it inside the try block, right? In the catch block, what type of exception they are mentioning? Arithmetic exception. They are saying that my method might throw an arithmetic exception. So in the catch block, I am also putting the arithmetic exception here. If you don't put try catch, and if it is having an exception, your program will terminate. I don't want my program to terminate. That is the reason I am putting my calling of the function. I mean, not my calling of the function. I'm calling the method 1 in the try block so that my program need not to be terminated. If you don't handle, your program will terminate. Why? Because the superclass method might have an exception. Okay. When I say throws, I can throw multiple exception types here. Throws, I can mention throws arithmetic exception, or I can also mention comma, separated comma. I can even mention null pointer, null point. You can throw multiple throws. Throws can declare multiple exceptions, but throw can use only one exception. You can throw only one exception. You cannot say arithmetic exception, comma, null pointer exception. You cannot do that. Okay. Now, if you look at, I already make a note as interview asked question. You can look at this and you can make a note. Differences between throw keyword and throws keyword. Is it not visible? Difference between throw keyword and throws keyword. You don't need to note down. You already have the answer there. Okay. Okay. Differences between throw and throws. Okay. Now, first different is what? Throw is used to throw an exception. Throw is used to throw an exception. Throws is used to declare an exception. Throw is followed by an instance. Example, I said new. Throw new arithmetic exception, right? Throws is followed by class. Arithmetic. Now, throws is followed by class means what? Followed by class. Throws. What is this arithmetic exception? This is a class. Throws is followed by class. Throw is used within the method. I showed you, right? Where I'm using throw, I'm using throw it inside the function. Throw is used within the method. That's what I mean. Throws is used with the method signature. Throws is used with the method signature. This is the signature where I'm using it. Okay. And then you cannot throw multiple exception. At a time, you can throw only one exception. You cannot throw multiple exception. Throws can declare multiple exception. Throws can declare multiple exception. Example, example, you can say public void method throws IO exception and SQL exception. Okay, it can throw multiple exceptions. Okay. Mostly asked question, difference between throw and throws, difference between catch and finally block. Mostly asked from the exception handling point of view. Did we talk about final interfaces we discussed, right? I think we already discussed about the final input output. IO exception means input output. This exception we basically use when you wanted to open a file. If you're not able to find a file, or you are given wrong path, or you do not have permissions to access the file, what Java is going to do, Java is going to throw an exception. That is how, what type of exception? IO exception. Like how you have arithmetic exception, similar way IO is one type of the exception you have. Okay. I think we talked about final, right? Final variable, final method, final class. If you don't want someone to extend your class, we declare the class as a final class. And you don't want someone to override your method. What you will declare? You will declare that method as a final method. You want to declare a constant variable value. You don't want someone to change the value. So we declare that variable as a final variable. Okay. I think this is the last one which is pending in the Java. Okay. Now, you all understood interfaces, right? Interface and class. What is the difference between class and interface? Class contain data members and method definitions, but interface contains only data members and abstract methods. Interface will contain only data members and abstract methods. It will not have any definitions. Okay. Now, what is a collection? Collection in Java is a framework. Always remember, whenever I say a framework is nothing but ready-made architecture that they already built in. They're asking to go and use it. It's a ready-made. Like we buy dosa, what do you call that? Dosa butter or batter? Ready-made. Get it and use it. Same thing here. So, but here it's not a dosa, it's a interfaces and classes. Okay. Singleton we will discuss. Okay, just remind me later, I will explain you. Collection in Java is a framework. Framework, wherever you say framework, understand it's a ready-made architecture. It is available, you go and use it. It is already available, go and use it. Once we go to Selenium, we have one more framework called TestNG. TestNG is one framework. You also have one more framework called Cucumber. Cucumber is also one of the framework what we have. So this is the first framework you are attending now, right? You never heard any work called framework. Okay. Advanced, forget about advanced Java. We don't even need complete core Java itself. Do you think I'm teaching you complete Java? Not needed. Complete Java, not at all. Java has so many topics like multi-threading you have, AWT you have, swings you have. All those things are not needed. No one is going to use. You don't even need to learn complete core Java. Okay, whatever you learn, it will not go more than an interview, or it will not go more than in your automation also. Whatever I am explaining, you will use only of that much. It's not only here to any trainer is teaching you Java with the Selenium, only this much they are going to teach. If you want me to teach AWT, swings, applets, I can teach you. Nowhere you are going to use. Nowhere they are also asking an interview, right? Whatever is needed, we are just trying to, when I say whatever is needed from the Selenium point of view. Whatever is needed from the Selenium point of view, how much is required, only that much we are trying to learn. Okay. So framework that provides an architecture to store and manipulate group of object. All operations that you perform on data, such as searching, sorting, insertion, manipulation, deletion, etc., can be performed by Java collection. Collection is a ready-made framework. Framework means it is already defined. They already built it. They are saying go ahead and use it. So what do you do in collections? Manipulations with the data. What do you mean by manipulations with the data? Storing some data, in adding new data, and then deletion of the data, modification of the data. All these things will come under collections. Manipulations with the data, that's what we most of the time do with the collections, like insertion, searching, modification, sorting, deletion. All these things you are going to perform in the collections. Java collection simply means a single unit of object. Java collection framework provides many interfaces. Always remember, collection is combination of interfaces and implementation of the interfaces with the classes. Collection nothing but contains interfaces and classes. It's a combination of interfaces as well as the classes. So Java collection framework provides many interfaces. What is interface? Which contains only abstract method. I said, what is a WebDriver? WebDriver itself is interface. Selenium, once we start this week, you will understand what is WebDriver, what it contains, right? And then what are the interfaces it contains? It contains interfaces like set, list, queue, dequeue, etc. These are the interfaces in collections. These are the interfaces in collection. And what are the classes we have? We have array list, vector, linked list, priority queue, hash set, linked hash set, tree set, etc. I repeat, collection is nothing but a combination of interfaces and the classes. Whenever I say a class should implement the interface. Whenever I say interface, it should contain some abstract method. So whenever you wanted to use something, just go ahead and import that particular class and try to use it. Okay. What is collection in Java? Collection represents a single unit of object. Collection represents single unit of object, that is a group. Okay. Now what is framework in Java? Provides, as said, provides ready-made architecture. Not only in Java, wherever you say framework, it's a ready-made. Just go and use them. So framework represents set of classes and interfaces. If someone is asking you what is a collection, it's a ready-made architecture which represents set of classes and the interfaces would be your answer. What is a collection framework? Collection framework, what is this? Manipulation means playing with the data. Multi-threading is required or not for automation? Multi-threading not required. Maybe you need to use only one thing called thread.sleep. That also not recommended. If someone is asking, are you using thread.sleep method in interview, just say that no. Will page object model, yeah, once all completed, Selenium completed, once Java completed, Selenium completed, TestNG is completed, Cucumber is completed, API is completed. Once you complete all these things, we will go for the frameworks, which mostly used in your automation. Page object model is one of the model under frameworks. Because seeing that as a requirement interview job description, yeah, we will cover. We already have one HRM project, right? We will try to automate a live project using the page object model. 90% of the project in the market using is page object model. So I already prepared one automation architecture. I have automated few test cases of HRM as well. We will discuss what is a framework. Don't think this framework is different. What I am explaining is different framework. Don't get confused. Now forget what is page object and all. It's not needed now. Just leave it out. Okay. To answer your question, Tatavarti, yes, we will be covering. Okay. So what is collection framework? Collection framework represents unified architecture for all storing and manipulation of group of data. Manipulating means operating, working, using, right? That's called manipulating. Okay. It has interfaces and its implementations. Interface will always have what? Implementation. Interface will always have implementation. That is nothing but classes, right? So now let's try to understand hierarchy of collection framework. Let us see the hierarchy of collection framework. The java.util package. We already learned a package, right? Package contains what? Set of classes, interfaces, right? And java.util is a package. So how many types of packages you have? Two types of packages. One is inbuilt nothing but predefined. One is predefined packages, another one is user defined packages. All these collections are coming under package called java.util. All these collection things are coming under java.util package. Contains all the classes and interfaces for collection framework. Maybe people might ask you in which package collection framework is available. I don't think so they would ask, but java.util is a package which contains all classes and the interfaces. Okay. Now let's try to understand the hierarchy of it. I need to reduce it to see everything here. Don't worry. You're able to see? Then if I increase, you cannot see everything in one place. That's another problem. Okay. Now you see the blue ones. The blue color is nothing but interfaces. This what is called a green color is called as a class. Wherever you see this blue color, understand it is nothing but a interface. Wherever you see this green color, understand it is nothing but a class, means which is implementing the interface. Class will always implement the interface. That's what we are trying to mention here. Now iterable. Iterable is one of the interface. Interface can extend the interface. We discussed, right? Class can implement the interface. Interface can extend the interface, right? Now, iterable is one interface. Under that, you have a collection interface. Collection interface, this top arrow indicates implements. Sorry, this extends. This straight arrow key you see here, right? Straight arrow key, this indicates this is nothing but extends. Dot dot arrow indicates implementation. Dot dot arrow will implement implementation. Now iterable, you have a collection. Straight arrow key. Straight arrow key means what? Collection is extending iterable. Collection is what? Interface. Collection interface extends iterable. It will be something like this. So I have interface collection extends. Which interface it is extending? Iterable. Now I will also have one interface. First, let me define this interface. I have interface iterable. Whenever I say interface, I don't need to write. It will always have abstract methods and final static variables, right? Now this interface called collection. Collection is extending what? Iterable. Let's understand it has some method. I'm just giving as a method one, okay? Don't think it has method one. I'm just giving as an example. Iterable is what? Interface. It is containing what? Method one. Always interface will contain abstract methods. Now what is another interface you have? Oh, not this. This should be interface. Interface name. Now you have one more interface called collection. Collection is extending what? Iterable. I'm just trying to explain step by step of this diagram so that you guys can understand it. Now you have one more. This will have method 2. So now collection will have how many methods? 2 methods. One is method 1 from the iterable interface. One is collection itself is having its own method. Is it clear? Extending. Extending means whatever you have in the interface called iterable will come to collection interface. Now I just explained you only this one, these two. Now under the collection you have list interface which is extending the collection. See the top arrow key. List is a interface which is extending the collection. Queue is one more interface. This is extending collection. You have a set. Set is also interface which is extending collection. Now what is the interface? First one, interface list extending collection framework. List is having collection, right? List is having collection. Let's say this list is having one method called method 3. Now how many methods it will have total? Because list is extending what? Collection. Collection is extending what? Iterable. Iterable is what? Interface. What it is containing? Method 1. Because collection is extending the iterable, you will get method 1 also here. Now collection is having method 2. List is doing what? Extending the collection. So how many methods it will have now? List will have 3 methods, right? Now what is another? Queue. Now you have one more interface queue, right? So this is extends what? This is also extending the collection. Let's say this is having some method 4, some method. So how many methods it will have now? 4 methods. Why 3? What? See, Q is extending what? Q is extending the collection. Collection is extending what? Iterable. Collection is extending iterable, right? Iterable, one method will be coming to collection. And now Q extends. See, collection, let's go it this way to avoid confusion. Now, sorry. Now you will get one method, right? You will get void method 1 from iterable interface. So collection will have what? 2 methods. One is coming from iterable and one having method 2 itself, its own method. Now list is extending what? Collection. So what list will get? Method 1, method 2, method 3. I think someone said 3 is correct. Now you have Q what? Q extends collection. Collection is having how many methods? Only 2 methods, method 1 and method 2. There is no relation. The list does not extend the iterable. List is extending what? Collection. Collection is having what? 2 methods. So I am putting 2 methods here directly. I am putting 2 methods. And it is also having its own method. List is having its own method. Now Q is extending what? Collection. Collection is having how many methods? 2 methods. So method 1, method 2 will come here. It will have 3. Are you guys getting confused? A bit tricky, but you need to, you understand interface extend interface means whatever you have in the super interface will come to sub interface. That's what we are trying to do. Okay. Now what is the next one you have? Set. Set is another. Set is extending what? Collection extending iterable. Iterable having one method. Collection is extending the iterable. Collection will have 2 methods. Set is having its own method. Those 2 methods from iterable and collection, 1 method from set. Same thing. Let me copy paste it. You have set. Set extends collection. Collection, how many methods? Method 1 from iterable. Method 2 from collection itself. So since set is extending collection, it will have. Now the set is also having its own method. Set is also having its own method. This is one hierarchy. Is it clear now? These all are the first one interface iterable. Iterable is having, it has so many methods. Don't think it has only one method. Just to make it simple understanding, I am giving only one method, right? Now iterable is having one method. Collection is interface, extending the iterable. So method 1 come from iterable to collection. Now what you have in the bottom? You have what? List. List is doing what? Extending the collection. Q is extending the collection. Set is also extending the collection. Now this is with the interface to interface. All these are interfaces only. Interface to interface. One interface is extending, one interface is extending. All interfaces are extending the collection and collection extending the iterable. Now go to the bottom. Dot 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 line. Dot dot means implements. This is nothing but a class. Green color means class. So now I have one class called array list. I have one class called array list. Dot dot means array list implementing interface called list. Array list is implementing list. Now to make you to understand it better, I'll create one class. Here I go and create one class called array list. Implements. Which interface it is implementing? List. Implements list. How many methods you have in the list? Implementing what? List. How many methods list is having? 3 methods. Why 3 methods? Method 3 is from the list itself. Method 1 is from iterable. Method 2 itself is from the collection. So what Array list should provide. Implementation means what? Definitions, right? Whenever you extend whenever you implement interface, you should provide the definition. So what these guys are doing here? These guys are providing the definitions. Then they open the bracket and they write some coding. They write some coding for method 1. This is called implementation. Implementation means writing the definition of the method. Definition of the method means some coding, what you wanted to do, right? Same thing you are trying to do for method 2. Now you have method 3, same thing. Example, I have given WebDriver, right? It's interface. How many classes you have? How many browsers you have? That many classes you have. Internet Explorer, 1 class. Chrome driver, 1 class. Microsoft Edge, 1 class. Google Chrome, 1 class. All these classes are implementing which interface? WebDriver. They are providing according to their own wish. Google is opening the browser, Google browser. Microsoft writing coding to open Internet Explorer. Again, Microsoft have one more browser called Microsoft Edge. They are also writing coding to open the Microsoft Edge. You have what? Firefox browser. Firefox is also what? Predefined class. What they are extending, what they are implementing? WebDriver interface. What code they are writing to open the Firefox browser? Same thing these guys are doing here. Interface at classes means interfaces. A class will implement the interface. Whichever class is implementing the interface, they should provide the definition. Okay. Now go to the next one. What is another class you have? Linked list. Dot dot. All these are dot dots. Are the dot dots. What is the next one you have? Class called. What they are implementing? What they are implementing? List interface. Same. Again, these guys have to provide the definitions. Like how Google people are implementing the definition to open the Google Chrome browser, how Microsoft is implementing opening the Internet Explorer browser or Microsoft Edge browser. Now linked list is implementing its own way. Array list is implementing their own way. Method is same. The implementations are different. Now what is the next one you have? Vector. Now you have a class called vector. I'll copy paste it, not to save the time. You have what? Vector. You have a class called vector. Implements list. Same methods. Okay. And then you have one more class called vector. Vector we already written, right? And one more class you have what? Stack. Stack is doing what? Straight arrow means? Straight arrow means extends. So vector stack is a class which extends the vector. Vector is extending what? List. List is extending what? Collection. Collection extending iterable. So list should provide definitions for all the methods. Or it's not needed. It's already provided. Vector already provided the definitions, right? So vector class already provided the definition. You are not implementing the interface. You are extending the class. So you don't need to provide. Now I'll write one more class called what? Extends. Which class? And whatever vector will have their own classes, their own methods, etc., etc. Now we covered what? Only this list part. Now you have one more thing called priority queue. You have one more class called priority queue. Dot dot arrow means blue color means, green color means class. Class implements. What is the class name? Priority queue. What is my class name? Class implements what? Interface called queue. Now what queue is having? Queue is implementing what? Collection. Let's say queue, where is the queue? Did we write queue here? Yeah. Queue is extending the collection. Collection is extending the iterable. Iterable is having one method. So we are getting that method from iterable. Collection has its own method. Now this class is implementing what? Queue. What queue is having? Its own method called method 4. Now priority queue class should provide definitions of method 1, method 2, and method 4. Are you guys getting importance of interfaces? They just declare and they will give it to you. It's up to you how you wanted to implement them. According to my requirement, I'll implement. According to your requirement, you try to implement it. Okay. Now you have one more class called DQ. Throw someone pen. So getting irritated. Yeah, see that's why I'm just trying to write this much detail level so that you guys can understand it, right? So now what is the next one it is trying to take? What is this another one? DQ. Blue color means interface. Straight arrow key means extends. DQ is what? Interface. Extending what? Queue. DQ is extending the queue. Is it clear? Now again, I have to write one more interface called what? DQ. I think this also I need to write. What it is implementing, this should be method 4. Why? Because queue is having method 4. Queue is extending collection. Collection is extending iterable. Now what is the next class? DQ. DQ is what? Interface. Extends. Which one it is extending? Queue. Now how many methods it will get? DQ has its own method. Okay. Let's say one method 6 or whatever, just consider one method. And DQ is extending queue. Queue is extending collection. How many methods it will have? 2 methods. One itself, one is coming from iterable. So method 1, method 2 definitions. DQ, sorry, it's not a class, it's interface, right? So it will have method 1, it will have method 2. So these are total 3 methods. Now which class is implementing the DQ? You have DQ, right? Array Q. Array Q is what? Class. Dot dot arrow means implements. Class implements DQ. Now I have to write one more class. Class. What is the class name? Array Q. Implements DQ. So what it should provide definitions? It should provide definitions for all these methods. Method 1 from which interface? Iterable. Method 2 is from collection interface. Some coding you need to write. I'm just, and then you have one more thing. So what we have covered? We covered this left side list and we covered queue, and you have right side called set. I'll just leave it. You want me to write for this also? You want me to write? Typing job, man. I think I will put it, I'll save this. What you guys do is you also understand. You also understand, try to write at the end, go to at the end. I will tell you what is this, hash set. Hash set is what? Class. Class set is what? Interface. Set extends what? Collection. Same story. Like childhood days, if you want to see my name, go to page number 12 from page number 12. Did you guys do that in childhood? Do you want to know my name? Refer page number 12. I go to page number 12. Again, there they will refer, go to page number 40. I'll go to page number 40. Finally, in the page number 40, we used to write, go to page number 90. Wherever you go, lastly, you are going to iterable only. Lastly, you are going to iterable. Now, what you guys can do is, you guys can create one class called hash set. Hash set implements set. Then you write one more class called linked hash set. Linked hash set implements what? Set. Set is having what? Just check what methods you are having in a set. Set contain, obviously it will contain two methods from collection. One from iterable, one from collection. Now I wanted to see how many methods set itself is having. Set method 5. So this hash set has to provide definition of 3 methods. One is from iterable, one is from collection, one is from itself, set itself. Set itself is having one method, 5 or 6 some method. Same thing, linked hash set. Linked hash set implementing the set. And this class also has to implement 3 methods, right? And then finally, you still have more. Okay. Now you have sorted set. This is what? Interface. The sorted set is extending what? Set. So sorted set is having how many methods? 3 methods, right? And then tree set. Tree set is having what? Class. Implementing what? Sorted list is extending what? Set extending. Collection extending. Finally, all these classes, if you observe, all these classes should provide definitions from collection and as well as from iterable, because all these classes are implementing either queue or DQ or list or set. So whatever you are getting, you have to implement all these things. Extra is now this array DQ. This is array DQ. Array DQ is implementing a DQ. So it should provide definitions of DQ as well as queue, collection, and iterable. That is only the difference. Is it clear? Let me save this. Okay, is it clear? Collection is what? All about interfaces and implementation of the classes. Every interface has some methods and we have to implement those methods in the classes. What methods I have to implement depends upon which interface you are implementing, and depends upon that interface is extending which interface. Depending upon that interface is extending on which interface. Example, list. List is implemented by array list class. Array list class should provide definition methods of list. It should also provide definitions of list is extending what? Collection. It should provide definitions of collection. Collection is extending what? Iterable. It should provide definitions of. So ultimately, to answer, all the classes should implement definitions of collection methods as well as iterable interface, because these are common for all the interface. All interfaces are extending the same thing. Okay. Okay, someone raised hand. Okay. Is it clear? Now let's try to understand the methods what we have. Now we talked about collection interface. I said collection interface is having one method. Just for the sake of example, I said. I also told don't think method one is there in it. So how many methods it is having? 14 methods. Collection interface is having 14 methods. So collection is list class is doing what? Extending the collection. List, what are the methods we have in list? I don't think so. I have given list. Okay. So how many methods we are having? Total 14 methods in the collection itself. Now list is extending the collection. 14 methods what we are getting in collection. List should also get those 14 methods. List will have his own methods. List will have his own methods. So 14 methods, this array list class, linked list class, all these classes you are seeing here, right? All these classes should provide 14 methods definitions from collection interface. And I don't know how many methods. Iterable, I think I have written here. Iterator, iterable, no, I haven't written. Now just wanted to check how many methods I have in list interface. Just go to Google. No one will ask you, don't worry, how many methods collection is having, how many methods list is having. No one will ask you. So now I wanted to know list interface methods in Java. These are the methods. These are the methods what list is having. I think it looks like more than 14. They have not given the count, but it looks like more than. All these methods should be implemented by 14 methods coming from collections. Iterable, did I write iterable? Okay, now I wanted to know three methods. Iterable, yeah, I already put these three methods here. Iterator or iterable, same. Okay, it's having three methods: hash next, next, and remove. So how many methods it is having? Hash next, next, and remove. Three methods. 14 methods from collections. Three methods from list. Three methods from, sorry, iterable. So 14 from collection, 3 from iterable, 14 plus 3, 17 methods, right? And then it will have his own methods. Did we check how many methods we have in list? Let's see, total 14. How many methods in? I think there are only two methods. Yeah, it's a big list. These many methods. They should implement the definition because they are implementing. So whatever, etc. Right? So what are the methods we have in list interface? One is called add. What I said, interface collections are to manipulate with the data, adding the data, modifying the data, deleting the data, etc. If you wanted to add any element, there are many methods declared in collection interface. There, one is add. What method it is going to return? Boolean. Boolean means true or false. Boolean means true or false. Add is a predefined method which is coming in the collection, which is used to insert an element in the collection. You wanted to insert any element, then you go for using this particular add method. You have add all is used to insert specified collection of elements. Add is used to add one element. Add all to add more than one element. You have a remove. Remove is used to delete an element from the collection. Remove all to remove multiple elements from the collections. So retain all is used to delete all the elements of invoking collection except specified collection. Size you already know. Size is used to get the size of your how many elements you have. Return total number of elements in the collection. Then clear removes the total number of elements from the collection. Contains. Contain is used to search an all collections are what? Insertion, deletion, searching, sorting, right? Contains used to search a specific element. Contains all similar. Iterator returns the iterator. We'll see tomorrow. We'll discuss with the example of iterator. That time you can understand it. To array is empty equals hash code. Returns the hash code number for collection. Iterator interface is having what? It is having three methods. Hash collection is for storing a data. Storing of data. Now I wanted to travel from first element to the next. So you wanted to like arrays, x of 0, x of 1, x of 2. What are we doing? We are traveling from one index to another index. Same thing, they have implemented one predefined method called hash next. It returns true if the iterator has more elements, otherwise it will return false. It means like say I have 5 elements in my collection. What is the method to add an element to the collection? Add. I added 5 elements to the collection using iterator has next method. In the loop, I can put has next. Has next will return true or false. When it is in the first element, let's understand the has, you have 5 elements out of which you are at the first element now. Has next will check whether there is a next element is available or not. Now next element is present means it will return true. Then after second element, it will check for the next element. Next element is also available. Like how many times it will go? 4 times. Last time it will go to 5th time. After moving to the 5th time, it will go and check the next element is there or not. Then it will return the false. We always use the loops here. We always use the loops to get that. Okay. So we will stop it here for today and we'll resume it tomorrow. Let me put, you already have these collections notes. So I have to put throw example, and finally, where is the finally? Finally. Yeah, I'll put in Google. That's why I saved it. Yeah, just try to add that. The last right side, I leaved it. You try to add it so that you also can understand the hierarchy, how it is working. Okay. Let's paste it here. How many? When is the course started? It's 1.5 months now. June 6th. So almost 1.5, nearly 2 months of June 6th comes. Yeah, it may take maybe nearly 1 month. Okay, maybe next month ending we should be able to see. I'm trying to put you the strong foundation of Java. If you don't know Java, now you understood what is interface, right? So now you know interface. If I say WebDriver is interface, you can understand. If you do not understand what is interface, then it's a problem. Okay, I think we spend more time on the Java and basics of any programming because it's a prerequisite. Without prerequisite, you cannot move on. I think tomorrow, once we complete the Java, we will try to start with the API. I think when you go for manual testing, people are also asking the API interview question. Mostly they are asking related to Postman. Postman is one app. Okay. I missed yesterday due to login issues. Mansa, please check with admin. We had a class yesterday, right? Yeah. Today, till 9:30 batch, Zoom was not working. I thought it might not fix for you also. But suddenly once they fixed it almost at 11 o'clock. There was issue with the Zoom. There were no online participants were able to join. So 9:30 we have just taken the, what you call recap, what we discussed and all. I'll put that API material also in the notes, so that you can just go through it whenever you get a time. Where all this going, man? Throwable finally. Okay, I said I'll add API. Package example. Use of abstract and interfaces in real time. I explained, right? Interface is what? WebDriver is one interface. I'm not sure whether you missed that class. Anyhow, once we start the Selenium, that time I will explain again interface. Don't have to worry. Okay. So did I put API here? Yeah, API is also. Okay. You guys can leave. We'll catch up tomorrow.